Alright, we got another building complete. It's an Asian style pagoda roofs and whatnots, and it's filled with pandas inside. Can't really see them except these two there and that guy there, but the inside is also filled with pandas, so I thought maybe I should rename this thing to the Polar Panda Express. Because it goes into this building, one of the stations is inside there. So what to say about it? Well, basic Asian style with these roofs and some of these as well, like over there and there and there and there and there, and mostly these walls pretty much, and those in between, like on the floors, but because I don't have the base block to go with these, for some reason it's not in here. I had to use this for the floor and then like put these on the outside. There are some places where it doesn't fit, like here, because of the path. I can't put this thing in there. Same, well actually there it's not even supposed to fit. But over here we had some like that. Actually, that's also like inside. Oh well, it's like not the outside wall. Anyway, some icicles up here on the roof where we have a motherfucking dragon up there going around that ball, whatever it is, guarding the place or something. I don't know. Some icicles hanging from that, and over here on this balcony and that balcony and this stretch here, not that many icicles when comparing to other buildings because of these walls. I can't put any icicles in there. There's no room if I try it here. No room. And over here we have got some bamboo. There's another panda with some bamboo and two of these lanterns here. It looks like there would be more room here, but it's not because the U is still here. It just disappears. Probably because of the trainer, but it's weird, it doesn't disappear immediately when I put the trainer and the freezing of the weather on. It just disappears after a while for some reason. Yeah, but anyway, it's there because I can't build here. Christmas tree in the way. Anyway, then over here we have the entrance to it there, a path going in with a few benches and lampposts on it, and a bunch of flowers here underneath the reindeer rampage. Some pink ones, some white ones, and a little awning here that the reindeer thing goes under. And there's you can see some of the paths that go into this ride and the Polar Express thing. And I changed the colors here to whatever this is, cream or something, and that nasty green, too much the roof better. And now the motocross also goes inside the building a bit there. Also changed the color of that to the same cream and some pale brown there. And then what else? That is probably it. Well, could look inside, we can see the right Polar Panda Express goes through there in a big ass helix, double helix thingy, and this thing is on the roof as planned before. Right here I removed the awning that used to be there because it doesn't match that well. Maybe I should also change those into brown fences to match better. Maybe even put some of this here. Yeah, that looks better. I also put it down there as the floor. One more there. Oh yeah, I changed those two path pieces to match up. Used this one. And there's some paths over up here as a balcony too. A few benches and a lamp there. And this area is open so they can see the people queuing in there. There's some of the exits and entrances visible, and up here we have a big balcony with lots of cannons and cannonballs for the pandas to defend themselves. I guess they're pretty smart ones, evolved or something like that. That is probably it. Well, there's this balcony where we have some what you call it, lunch, what are those called, park bench table combos, picnic table, that's what it is, yeah. Some of those and some lanterns, these things. There's a butterfly and those pandas I already mentioned. Can't really see that balcony that well, but it's there. Anyway, yeah, that's probably it for the building, so now I'll move on to another one. I was thinking like something over here, maybe like a nice castle or something that could also combine into this. And although then I was also considering putting these somewhere, but I don't know if I can find any spot for them. They're so massive. Not much room. Well, I could try like here, turn this left hill into a massive wall. I don't know if it's possible though. It looks like I can't fit anything underneath it. Yeah, that's probably a bad idea because I don't have the wall pieces that go together with these. I don't know, who knows what I'll come up with.